So good day once again. I'll be taking us how to read tailoring measurements and understanding every unit on the tape rule. Here with me, I'm having two kinds of tape rule. I'm having the 8 gap tape rule and the 16 gap tape rule. So this 8 gap tape rule, this is the one that is actually common, that even though you want to buy tape rule, you see this one easily in the market. But I'm using both to explain so that once you come across them, you'll be able to understand it or interpret it. So why this one is 16, this one is 16 gap, this one is 16 gap measurements, but both of them is still giving the same result. As you can see, we have 1 1 2 2 2. It's still the same result, but their readings are actually different. So I'm going to clarify it, why it is called 8 gap calibration and why this is called 16 gap calibration. So before we proceed, most tailoring tape comes in 60 inches. We have the one of 120 and so on, but this general one that we use is always in 60 inches. That is the length of it is always in 60 inches. And on your tape rule, we have two calibration units. We have it in inches, in inch, then we have it in centimeter. So for you to know, anytime you purchase a new tape rule, you always have a particular carton like this being wrapped with it. So it's going to be stated there. Inches, 60 inches and 150 centimeter. That means the calibration is in inch and centimeter. So this is the inch part, while this is the centimeter part. But most of the time we make use of inch part in Nigeria. But if you are watching some YouTube videos, the whites do normally make use of centimeter. So once they are making use of centimeter, you don't need to stress yourself. Just whenever they tell you that maybe 4 centimeter, just take your 4 centimeter, fold it. This is 4. Fold it like this. So the line in inches is giving us 1.5. So that's 1.5. 1.5 inches is equivalent to 4 centimeter. So if I'm saying 1 inch, so 1 inch to centimeter, take your 1 inch. This is the easiest method I can use it to explain this. I don't want to go into much calculation. So just take this, bend it. So the line, you've already formed a crease. So the line there, trace it. So that means 1 inch in centimeter will give me 2.5. 2.5. So now back to why I said this one is called 8 gap calibration. But before then, anytime you purchase a new tape rule, always confirm this. Most of the time when people get or people with experience buying a tape rule, they just remove this edge. Why they remove it is because at times, if you are not careful, you have to confirm if this tape rule itself align with this edge. If it does not align, you have to remove it so you can have your accurate measurement, because if you did not, there will be differences in the measurement. So confirm, but these have confirmed it and I see that yes, it's correlates with the metal. So I'm good to go. But if it does not, I will just remove it. The importance of this metal edge is just to protect the tape rule from tearing. So why this is called 8 gap calibration is because if you should, I'm starting from here. I can start from here or here, but all of them has the same spacings and the same units. So I'm starting from 1. So why we call it 8 gapping calibration? The distance between 1 and 2, the distance between them is 8. How is it 8? So after this one, so count these small ones, this small line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this 8, the gap between 1 and 2 is 8. That is why it is called 8 gapping calibration or 8 spacing calibration. So if you should count this one as well, 2 to 3 is still the same thing. So that is after 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is the same thing. So for us to calculate or for us to know each point of it, I always tell people that every line on the table has its own values and you don't just assume. We deal with accurate measuring. So don't forget, because I said the distance between a whole inch to another whole inch, whole inch to another whole inch is 8. That is why this one is called 8 gapping tape rule, and this is common in any place you get it. This one is always common, so that's why I'm emphasizing on it on this. So for us to get the value for each, so what you are going to do is come down here, bring your calculator. So because I'm starting from 1, if I'm starting from 0, I'm going to use 0, but this one is clear enough for you to understand. Everything has the same principles because they have the same spacing. So 1 divided by 8, the spacing there is 8. So the line, the little calibration before the whole line is 8. So I'm dividing it by 8. It gives me 0.125. That means each line is 0.125. I don't know, maybe you understand me. Each line of like this is 0.125, which means after this one, this line is 0.125. So if I'm reading my tip rule, after 1 inch, I want to get something from here, I said 1.125. And if I'm to get this one again, this second calibration, that means I have to add that is 0.125 because we said each line like this, after dividing, it gives us 0.125. So that means plus 0.125. It gives me 0.25. That means this line is 0.25. In other words, we call it 1 to quarter. So anytime you hear me saying 1 to quarter, know that this is what I'm referring to, this particular one. And why is it called, why did I call it 1 to quarter? That is, after this point, after the decimal point, the next figure is 2. That is why we call it 1 to quarter. So some people will call it for you 1.25, but in cutting, for us to have we are familiar or conversant with is I just call it 1 to quarter. So once I use the word 1 to quarter, you should know that this is what we are referring to. So for us to get the value for this as well, add plus that same 0.125 is 0.125. It gives us 0.375. So that means this line, this third line after 1 is 0.375. So whenever I talk again, this one is 0.2 is 0.2 quarter. So I can just abbreviate it and tell you that 1 quarter. So once I use the word 1 quarter, you should know that this is what I'm actually referring to. 1 quarter. So the next one for us to get the value of this plus 0.125. It gives me 0.5. Is 0.5. So that means 1.5, or I call it 1.5. 1.5, sorry. 1.5, or we call it 1.5. So for us to get this next line after the half, add it again plus 0.125. So this one is 0.625. Add it again plus 0.125. So this one is 0. This next line is 0.75. So whenever we are talking again and I said, okay, after dividing, our value or figure is 1.7, just know that this is what I'm referring to. So 1.75. Then this next line plus 0.125. It gives us 0.875. That means whenever we are talking again and I use the word 1.8 or 2.8, this is the value we are referring to. Then the seventh one plus 0.125. It gives us a whole one. That means after this, it gives us this, which shows that at the BODD, we've gotten to a whole value. So this is 1. So this same reading goes to everything. So for everything, just take it like this: 1 inch, 2 inch. So 1 inch rather, one quarter, 1 2/4, 1 3/4, 1 1/2, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 2, 2.1, 2 2/4 or 2.2, 2.3 or 2 3/4, then 2.5 or 2 1/2, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, then 3. Then it continues like that, and so on and so forth. That is that about this. So for the second tip rule, which I said 16 gappings. Don't forget, this one is 8 gap calibration. Why this one is 16 gap calibration? I won't be saying much on this because it's just the same thing with this, but I just need to explain why this one is called 16 is because the gap from a whole inch to another whole inch is 16. How do you do that? Let's count it again. This must be that, I don't know, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So for you to get from 1, for you to get to 2, you will have 16 little line, and that is why it is called 16 gapping, which means for us to do that again, for us to, the same principle we follow for this, so that is 1 divided by 16, which is 0.0625. 0.065. That means after 1, this small value is 0.0625. So for us to get the next one, add plus 0.0625. It gives us 0.125. Then continue adding the value like that. So let me now give us the similarities between both of them. So for easier method, in case you purchase this mistakenly or intentionally, so you can know how to read it. So let's now place both of them together. Placing it together, you can see we have 1 inch, 1 inch. Okay, let me place it like this. You can see our figures, our values are the same: 1 inch, 1 inch. So that means after 1 inch, this is 1 1/4 for 1 1/4 on the 8 gapping, this white tape rule. On the yellow tape rule, which is 16 gap calibration, for us to get this 1 1/4, we need 2 dots. That means after this one, we need 1 2. 2 dots will give you 1 1/4 on 16. Why 1 dot will give you 1 1/4 on 8 gap, 8 calibration. So for us to get 1 2/4 on 16, calibration, which is this yellow, we need 4 gaps, 4 line rather. 1 2 3 4. So this 4, for us to get this same value on 8, we just need 2 line after 1. So 1 2/4, 1 2/4, just same thing like that. So that's that about that. And both of them are also having centimeter calibration, centimeter units, the same thing I've explained. So that is how to interpret your tape rule measurements. And at the same time, have it at the back of your mind that I said our tape rule is always in 60 inches. We have the one of 120 and above, 160, 200, but this is the common one. So for us to know the number of yards, there's something we call yards and trouser. This is a constant that you must know. For 1 yard, the figure for 1 yard is 36 inches, which is this 36 inches. 36 inches make up 1 yard of fabric. Then one trouser of fabric is 45 inches. 45 inches. This is a constant value you must always know and you must not forget, because for every sourcing of material you need it and you must not forget it. It's a constant. 36 yards for 36 inches for 1 yard, while 45 inches for one trouser. So as time goes on, we'll understand better. So this is the end for measuring tape.